It wasn't always obvious. In 2018, an app called TikTok came from nowhere. Back then, TikTok seemed like just another mindless app for teens, where teens and creeps would lip sync to insipid, droog-like songs. But in a matter of weeks, something changed. YouTubers, commentators, the media, TikTok became the new gold rush. To me, the app looked ugly.
Welcome to Pegasus versus the Worlds, where we take on challenges, comedy, trending topics, and some travel.
City boy! City boy!
TikTok is worse than you thought. TikTok is worse than you thought. We'll see if this aged well. I don't sit anywhere with TikTok. You know, people like it. Social media is the devil, even for me. Like, I just know how I'm addicted to just being on the phone because I have a very crazy work schedule. I don't engage in social media the way I used to. However, I understand the addiction. I see it with even like we have to limit tablet time with my child and stuff like that. But is TikTok a problem? Now, I'm watching this video. This video is actually 3 years old, but I think it's interesting because it is 2025 right now. TikTok has just been banned in America, and then Donald Trump got inaugurated, and he had it unbanned. I think he wants to do some type of 90-day trial and try to work out a deal. Now, the problem with TikTok is that it's a Chinese-owned company, right? Chinese-owned company, and they're mining our data. Americans' data, and it could be a national threat. Is that true or not? I don't know. That's what's being said. Again, all social media mine your data, but because it's not an American company, it can't be audited, so we don't know if they're being a little more aggressive with the way they're mining our data, et cetera, et cetera. So essentially, Trump wants to get someone in there who can negotiate a deal where America can buy half the company and have access to some of this stuff, from what I'm understanding. If I'm incorrect, shout out in the comments, and I'll pin the comment that drops the most game. But, you know, like a quick summary of what's going on, that's what's going on. Now, some people think, oh, TikTok was the reason Trump won the election. It spreads misinformation. It needs to be shut down. You know, there's a lot of that going on. There's a bunch of different stuff going on, but from the meat and potatoes that I've read, it's really because there's a potential national security threat because it's a Chinese-owned company and the way they're mining data. Y'all let me know. Now, I do think it's interesting that we're letting allegedly Chinese spy balloons fly over America, and, you know, it's just interesting. So I don't know what the play is here, but we going to get some breakfast and some info. I don't know if I'm going to play that. This is on the Moon's channel, so go support them. I don't think I'm going to play the whole thing. This is like 30 minutes long, but let's just see what they talking about and spit some game because this is very relevant right now. Do you guys think TikTok is going to get banned again? CapCut and a couple other things got banned, you know, or is it going to make a comeback? Is China going to do the right thing? Yeah, holla at your boy. Let's go.
It wasn't always obvious. In 2018, an app called TikTok came from nowhere. Back then, TikTok seemed like just another mindless app for teens, where teens and creeps would lip sync to insipid, droog-like songs. But in a matter of weeks, something changed. YouTubers, commentators, the media, TikTok became the new gold rush. To me, the app looked ugly, with a logo that didn't look quite right, but I didn't want to be out of touch. And me being curious, I eventually caved and downloaded it. And just like that, I was hooked. My mornings would be taken up by 30-second videos, my evenings stolen by the buffet of dopamine. I couldn't put it down, the endless scrolling, the constant dopamine hits. I had no control.
It's crazy. My wife is mad addicted to TikTok, yo. When she gets on, like when she puts the kids up and she's on it at night, she'll sit next to me on the couch, won't say a damn thing. I'll throw on the TV, I'll be working, like multiple things. She just scroll. It's pretty wild. Like what he's saying is, I'm like, oh, that's an accurate depiction.
I'd look around me. We were walking into a buzzsaw. After hours of extensive research, I fell down a TikTok rabbit hole, and the further I went down this rabbit hole, the more horrifying things became, as what I'm telling you today has been ignored by almost all of the media, almost all of the influencers, and all of the corporate elite. And at the same time, governments around the world are beginning to understand the true scope of what's going on. So let this video be a warning to everyone who's downloaded this insidious app, and join me as we cover the raw and unfiltered truth behind TikTok.
This video dropped 3 years ago, y'all. Wake up, man. This is kind of crazy. It's starting off good. Oh, this part one? Damn.
A question. Do you never want to be bored again? Do you want fame, money, to not feel left out? For success to come sooner? This is how it begins. Through tapping into your innate biological desires, TikTok has been able to achieve 3 billion downloads. But behind our addiction to this app is something sinister. Because on the back of your constant scrolling and chasing of dopamine, someone has transformed a lip-syncing app for teens into the greatest cyber threat in human history. So the question is, who? Well, to answer this, we need to go back to 2012. Back in 2012, Vine was the closest thing you'd get to TikTok. And whilst Vine was kind of big, most people fawned for Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, because in this time, it seemed like Silicon Valley was on the verge of something great, unprecedented societal change. We were so caught up with our own creations that we never gave China a second thought. But back in Beijing, something was bubbling under the surface. A creature called ByteDance. Now, ByteDance wasn't just any old tech startup. It was a startup directed by a man named Zhang Yiming.
Spoken about in mainstream media in America, because I've heard it's propaganda, but I don't know that for a fact. Again, I'm watching a YouTube video, so we're gonna take that with a grain of salt, if you know what I'm saying. But this is interesting. China has a lot more innovation than we would think. They're rising to the occasion, let's say. You know, it's always been American innovation, like da-da-da-da, kind of like running the gamut, you know. But China, I've been to China, you guys. Actually, one of those pictures looked like it was in Shanghai. But I got a Groupon to go to China to see the Great Wall. And we went to like Shanghai, Beijing, frickin' Xijing or some like, dude, I got to see a lot of stuff. It was during a Chinese New Year, too. It was actually really cool. However, I still don't necessarily believe in the government control type of state they're in China, right? So there's a lot there. Like, we couldn't get on American social media in China, which brings up how he's talking about this, right? How they limit certain things getting out, but China, there's no limit when their technology is being, you know, consumed by Americans, right? When you're in China, you have to use a VPN and show that you're, you know, whatever, however VPNs work. Because I remember I had to get a VPN to be able to get on Facebook, to communicate with some of my friends back home, to see what's going on Instagram, just different things. Like, they do not allow America, because America has a different culture, right? They're not cool with the rainbow community in China. You know, they cut all those scenes out of the movies in Disney. Certain characters get cut out because China ain't playing that, right? That's how strict their government is. So I do think it is interesting how it's like totally the opposite on TikTok for Americans. This is interesting.
It's 2016 and the Chinese government is inching towards technological dominance. But if they were going to overtake Silicon Valley, they would need to expand their AI technology across the globe. Because back in the mainland, AI proved to be an incredibly effective tool for controlling the population.
They're constantly monitored by facial recognition cameras that are able to instantly put a face to a name.
Yep.
Now the Chinese are also ranked, given a mark out
This
of
is real, y'all. I seen it with my own eyes
points.
in China.
I think being ranked is a good thing. A society has to have rules.
It forces us to be well behaved.
It may seem scary, but it's just like that here. We're used to it, and anyway, we don't have a choice.
There's a simple reason for this. By using algorithms, the Chinese government can connect all these data points from everything you do, using your travel records, friends, acquaintances, reading habits, and purchases, all to anticipate any political resistance. It's through these sorts of social credit scores and advanced AI technology that the Chinese government has gained a firm grip over 1.3 billion people. But what if China could use such technology outside of its own borders? What if China could move away from surveilling their own country to surveilling the globe? If they could, China would become invincible. It was in this time that the Chinese President Xi Jinping was making big efforts to grow China's cultural power, which is why Xi Jinping announced that China needs to increase its soft power to give the world a good Chinese narrative and better communicate China's messages to the world.
We have made significant advances on theoretical and cultural fronts.
Xi Jinping announced that, quote, "We should increase China's soft power, give a good Chinese narrative, and better communicate China's messages to the world." And this is where America has had the upper hand for decades. Through America's spread of culture and ideology, America has been able to maintain its global influence. And in recent years, this has been catalyzed by one thing: Silicon Valley.
Y'all believe now, man? Y'all
So how could Chinese
now?
tech companies possibly compete with Silicon Valley, where a tiny group of billion-dollar companies have almost monopolized the...
Yo, son. Y'all see the Rainbow Pavilion? That's crazy, bro. San Francisco is wild, man. I got nothing against the Rainbow community, but we talk about, there's some division going on, right? And there's a bunch of things going on in America, right? And with the Rainbow community, they get, if you just watch Netflix, watch some of this stuff, it's interesting. It's interesting when you think about some of the representation they're getting, and then sometimes you'll see folks in the black community get a little upset and disturbed because they feel like, in a sense, they cut the line with certain things. And I can understand why people feel that. Like, look, I'm not trying to be a part of the Victim Olympics, so I don't get into none of that. But it is interesting. Like, it's just funny that I was just talking about some of that, and boom, the first thing we see, it's right here, bro. I'm like,
so how could Chinese tech companies possibly compete with Silicon Valley, where a tiny group of billion-dollar companies have almost monopolized the entire industry? If ByteDance were going to have any chance of competing, they would first need to create something groundbreaking, something so advanced, so popular, so addictive, that people would have no choice but to download it, an app to control the hearts and minds of the global population. To take on such an enormous task, China would need to take this one step at a time. The first step was for Chinese tech companies like ByteDance and Tencent to start buying huge shares in social media sites like Reddit, Discord, and Snapchat, because this allowed companies like ByteDance to have a key role in company policy as a majority shareholder.
Damn, they're involved in Discord too? Like at some capacity? That's freaking wild, yo. Damn,
but of course, buying shares in companies wasn't going to be enough. How could China create an app so addicting that it would outcompete every single social media site? To figure this out, they needed to test this technology in their own back door. So ByteDance's new venture would be with an app called Douyin, or in other words, the Chinese version of TikTok. ByteDance tested out Douyin to make sure the technology would be effective enough, and in less than a year, Douyin took over China, gaining enormous popularity, with 1 in 10 Chinese people having downloaded the app in less than a year. All because of this specially developed AI technology. It was now time for ByteDance to go global. The next step for ByteDance was a sophisticated marketing campaign, spending $3 million a day in marketing alone just in the American market. ByteDance would then get celebrities to join in. It would saturate the media and advertising world. You'd even see the NBA signing a multi-year partnership with TikTok. And with the TikTok logo,
$3 million a day? There's 365 days in a year. What the fuck does that equal? Holy sh! That's a crazy budget. $3 million a day for marketing, you guys. Like, I'm still trying to hit my first million, baby. God, they just throwing $3 million a day? That's wild.
Logo being stamped on every exported video, you'd then see this marketing begin to snowball. You'd see all these influencers on YouTube Shorts and Instagram posting their TikTok videos. You'd see celebrities promoting their garbage on TikTok. But marketing alone wasn't enough. So the next step for TikTok's growth was through the acquisition process. In this time, ByteDance noticed that fellow Chinese company Musical.ly was getting a foothold in the psyche of Generation Z. So rather than these companies trying to outcompete each other for ultimately the same goal, TikTok bought up Musical.ly for $900 million. This allowed TikTok to utilize Musical.ly's core selling point, the ability to go viral. Musical.ly provided a platform with an algorithm that rewards content above all else. Anyone could post some content and go viral the next day. Because of that, Gen Z rushed to it, allured by the prospects of fame, attention, and quick dopamine hits, using its AI technology to learn how to create the most addictive user interface possible.
Crazy.
There are several core psychological
TikTok has such a cultural impact, bro. Some YouTube channels are all based off of finding stories from TikTok that are interesting and just narrating them, getting on YouTube and talking about it, or like, you know, having discussions. And it's just crazy how big TikTok is in America too, man. This is kind of disturbing in a sense. Now, again, take everything with a grain of salt, because I don't know this MFer from MF. You know what I mean? But I've heard stuff like this. I know it's mad addicting, and you wonder, why is it so addicting? Well, it has advanced AI technology and certain things that play on our nature. So, yeah.
psychological techniques used to addict you. The first is short videos in and of themselves.
Short. There may be 15 seconds or something like that, 15, 20 seconds. They're short videos. And so it's just that quick, you know, it's almost like a little tasting menu of fabulous. You know, you're trying this and trying that.
The reason for TikTok's initial success is that they took the knowledge companies learned from making catchy advertisements. Advertisers spend millions gathering your attention for up to 30 seconds. And oftentimes, whether you like the advert or not, you'll find they're easily digestible. So TikTok would use this video design, but instead of paying millions to make these videos, TikTok's own users would automatically use all their creativity and talent to garner some hint of virality. Then the most addicting videos made are rewarded favorably for doing so. Once people catch on to which engagement tactics work, these videos are then copied over and over again. The most catchy songs are replicated over and over, creating the cycle of people who are addicted to chasing virality. These creators then feed the masses' own addiction to these dopamine-sucking videos. But of course, not all of these videos can be addictive, and that
we kind of already know this. I'm gonna fast forward a little bit. We know it's addictive, bro. I get it. And it is kind of wild. Another thing with this in particular is the movement is so fast with TikTok and all these different things. I think the keys here is the company ByteDance, its affiliation with China, and then the mechanisms they use in AI to make it more addicting and push it. However, now they do long form on TikTok, right? Like they do long form. But I'm going to tell y'all this before we end this video. The money ain't in TikTok, bro. The money's in YouTube. I don't know no creators that's getting paid on TikTok unless they get an endorsement deal, affiliate marketing, sponsored, blah, blah, blah. The real money for content creators is on YouTube, you guys. Ad revenue is crazy, bro. It's a different world right now on YouTube. People are getting paid, including myself. Don't let the TikTok bullshit trick you. And I just wanted to put that in there, man, because I've been noticing that all these, I'm big on TikTok. I'm this, that, and the other. And I'm like, nigga, there ain't no money in TikTok. Why are you wasting your time? Why are you on TikTok like that? Oh, it looks like we go into some government shit. Let's look at this real quick before we tap out.
中国人民和中华民族的前进步伐.
With this has come some new laws that coincide directly with TikTok. Since China adopted the National Intelligence Law in 2017, all Chinese citizens and companies have been under a legal obligation to help the government gather intelligence, whilst also keeping any cooperation with the government.
Oh, we out here trying to fight the NSA and them like doing this to us in America. And they just in China like, yeah, go ahead, take that, Diddy, take that. That's crazy.
A secret.
And we also know that under Chinese law, TikTok, ByteDance, the parent, is required to share data with the Chinese Communist Party. Required to under Chinese law. That's not a matter of speculation. That's in the law.
And it is required under Chinese law to share.
There you go. I summarized that in the first 3 minutes of this video. That's what I had heard. This is what he's saying. Is it not true? Let me know.
User data with Beijing. And TikTok has admitted that it has sent user data to China.
And so with TikTok collecting so much user data, the fact that TikTok is half run by the Chinese government, and now with the passing of this new law, TikTok is beyond problematic. Which is why several countries have been quick to ban TikTok. TikTok, along with 223 other Chinese applications, were banned by India.
The Indian government has banned dozens of Chinese-owned apps over apparent security concerns. Now, the list includes the messaging service WeChat and the wildly wildly popular video platform TikTok.
The Indian government claimed this was because they were damaging to India's sovereignty, integrity, defense, security, and public order. And this is why Trump signed an order to ban TikTok. In the order, Trump said that there is credible evidence that leads him to believe that ByteDance might take action that threatens to impair the national security of the United States. But with America's heated politics, Joe Biden could let Trump have this legal victory and revoke Trump's ban on TikTok. Although it wouldn't take long for Biden to realize this was a huge mistake. He literally had to admit,
I don't care what people say, they hate, they get mad. Biden was the worst president in the U.S. history, and he done so many things and his admin that are problematic, and it's so crazy. It's so crazy, man. Like, when you really go down the rabbit hole of the Biden administration, all the pardons that just came out, like, for all his family members and shit, it's like, why would you have to pardon your whole family? That shit is crazy, man. And I ain't giving a pass to nobody. Like, look, if Trump did some crazy shit like that, I'd call it out too, you know? He's done a couple wild things, but, like, a lot of it's hearsay, in my opinion. Like, I'm like, oh, people are just out to get him. I don't understand why the public doesn't treat Biden the same way they treat Trump. Like, this massive, like, yo, we're out to get you. Like, Biden just kind of slid in and everyone just kind of accepted it. I know the right wing don't rock with Biden, but Biden is treachery, bro. Straight up. Like, I struggle keeping that in. I don't go crazy on my other channels. I'm not trying. This is not good for your mental health, politics and shit. But yo, Biden is treachery, y'all. I don't care what nobody says. Nah.
later on that TikTok is, quote,
channel MOON.
The day is coming when the politicians realize that these social media platforms are picking the next president, the next congressman. They're literally picking.
This is where
This video has aged so well. It's 2025, you guys. This video came out 3 years ago. 3 years ago. Think about what was that clip he just inserted there. How prophetic that is to, it is 2025, Donald Trump is the new president. Just think about what he was saying. That's crazy.
True power in the modern day lies, because the people who control the algorithms are the people rewiring.
You know what doesn't make sense? Trump kind of goes hard on China. So if it was a Chinese propaganda app, they probably would have done their best to try to get someone else installed as the president. Wouldn't you say? No? I don't know. That's interesting now that I think about it.
In your brain. They are controlling the spread of information. They program the culture. And with TikTok now being the most downloaded app for several consecutive years, the results are becoming apparent.
I'm vaccinated, Catherine.
Okay, I don't need to see proof of this. Like, this is like them being able to program the culture through algorithms and dopamine hits from social media. We already see that happening with Facebook, Instagram. It's just TikTok has the crown right now. TikTok has the crown. So all of that, got it. Got it. I'm going to scrummage through that.
And as Xi Jinping declared, it is time to, quote, dare to draw the shining sword. So while the West becomes addicted to TikTok, where the West has their attention spans reduced to that of a goldfish, where people can't go 5 minutes without checking their phone absorbed by TikTok degeneracy, where we are having our brains literally rewired, China is now training their youth to prepare for war.
I've seen this. I've seen how, like, I've heard about this. TikTok in China is promoting being smart. It's promoting education. It's promoting moral values, while American TikTok is the complete opposite. It promotes degeneracy, moral decay, nonsense, things that aren't going to help you advance as a, you know, like but this is what's crazy though. The educational part of TikTok is kind of fire. That's where I found out about, like, Ian Carroll and a few cats. And I was like, what is this? Like, for real? So it goes both ways. The algorithm can be skewed to knowledge and powerful information, to conspiracy theories, to silly TikTok trends. So people need to be aware of that, because there's a lot of, like, knowledge stuff that spreads on TikTok and Twitter or X specifically in this vein. We're going to fast forward to the end of this video so we can have a kind of see. I want to see how he wraps this up with a bow. And if you want to watch the full video, it's on the channel Moon on YouTube.
Called a, quote, very concerning Chinese hypersonic weapons test that military experts say appears to show Beijing's pursuit of an Earth-orbiting system designed to evade American missile defenses.
China's now got the largest navy and is training its youth to become warlike robots. China has infiltrated the West with countless spies that have slept with the heads of the national security.
A bombshell new report says a suspected Chinese spy targeted California politicians. And one of her biggest targets was Bay Area Representative Eric Swalwell.
China is taking over the universities and schools across the West, and now China is taking over the culture. It took until 2020 when the bubble burst did we catch on to what was going on. We had been played. A sudden novel virus emerging from China, a sudden militarization of China's military, a sudden realization of the national security threat TikTok posed. We were finally confronted with the truth. It has taken until today when governments and elites are beginning to wake up to this dawning realization that World War III is no longer a fantasy. Our governments, having been hesitant to even consider the thought of banning TikTok, are now realizing the grave danger we are in. China is currently telling its military to prepare for war. China is taking...
You know, I saw this memes or whatever they are. It is a cool way to spread info. Sometimes it's disinfo, sometimes it's misinfo, sometimes it's real info. But someone posted, something about we can't have TikTok because of China, but China owns the percentage of land in America. And I was like, hold on, what? And I've been hearing that, like that China, I don't know, China at some capacity is buying real estate in America. And you saw the Chinese balloons. Now we have all these drones. There's a lot there, man. There's more than meets the eye. Like, it's so easy to, it's just a social media app. But we in a war, bro. Like, we are. Not with China necessarily. I'm just saying, like, there's a war for the soul and the minds of human beings and the trajectory of the planet. It just is mad interesting.
Taking foreign hostages within its own country. China is rapidly building up its military. China is developing AI technology never seen before in the West. And China is now not only engaging in skirmishes with our allies, but is now preparing for a full-blown war with Taiwan, sending over more than 150 fighter jets to surround Taiwan. As a last resort, our governments have joined a pact to begin countering China's preparation for war. But perhaps it's too late. With our society more divided than ever, with our politicians weaker than ever, with our youth more controlled than ever, when you connect all these dots, you start to realize where the real wealth behind TikTok lies. It lies in our addiction. It lies in our shortened attention spans. It lies in our own demise. TikTok allows China to gain vast sums of money from playing on our own psychology, promising you that dopamine hit, that dream, that attention, dangling it in front of you like a carrot.
Facts. He ended this well. I'm going to stop right there. If y'all want to watch the full video, it's a 32-minute long video, yo. We only did probably 17, 18 minutes of it. Yeah. He dropped some bombs in here. Dropped some bombs. But what's ironic is he just put it in a way, like most of this shit I'm aware of. I kind of summarized it at the beginning and just popped in here and there. There you have it, man. MFers can say all they want on the YouTubes, like on the internet. Bro, like, these influencers are idiots, bro. Like, they're just getting a bag off TikTok and they ain't thinking about the other impacts it could have on the back end. You know how it gets in the club, man. 4/5 in the club. Let me know. This was TikTok is worse than you thought. Man.
City boy! City boy!